Welcome back, everybody. We are once again in the workshop after a great trip to Sweden. That means it's time to buckle down on this barrel-making project. Have a look at these hunky bits of steel. One of them's meant to be an Alec billet, the other is meant to be a steel billet. In the last episode, we forge welded these things together, but you'll remember we had a slightly catastrophic error on this piece here. I've got a delamination here. It's all my own doing, but it means that all of this is wasted material. So no matter what, I'm gonna have to cut that off. But it's actually mildly convenient. We're gonna need to do some experimentation anyway to make sure our pattern development lines up with what we're seeing on our Thor 2 simulation. So that wastage is going to be fabulous, guilt-free test material. Make sure the pattern's looking okay, then cut off that scrap piece and forge it down into a few sizes of test bar for twisting. While the saw is cutting, have a look at the workshop. How much nicer does this all look? Me and Mrs. Steele made some shelves, a rack to hang some tools on. I've at last found a spot for the induction heater by moving the propane tanks that were there to over here. I twisted the surface grinder around. Unfortunately, I had to make this walkway a little bit more narrow to get that induction heater in there, but we swept, cleaned, and that feels good. I kind of feel like I should have built more padding around the letters. They look still really close to the edges. Let's cut that ugly chunk off and forge it down. Look at that nasty rhombus. We might have to talk about that later. I think now's the time to talk about that rhombus. That's really, really quite bad. Trouble is, the conventional way of fixing this is by hammering on the long diagonal like that. Trouble is we've got our letters there, and I'll crush them, and they might not ever open back up and look neat. So unfortunately, what I think I need to do is I think I need to make new V-dies. That is a die that's going to support it 90 degrees from all sides. As you can see, the one that we have is too big. That's what we'll do. Yeehaw! So I forged this down to an inch square, 25 millimeters, and I've taken a slice off of it. I'm a bit nervous about how it's looking because compared to the original cross section, where all the text and the lines are very, very straight, here everything is picking up quite a considerable bow towards the middle. The text is also way closer to the edge than I was hoping, which makes me worry that I didn't put enough padding around the outside. And given that this test bar is forged out of an end of the Alec piece, where there is a lot of padding in the corners, it makes me worry the situation could be even more dire for the steel billet. Now, at this very moment, as it relates to our test piece, there's nothing I can do about it, but there's at least something else that we can do to learn something from. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to use 4 pieces of this bit of scrap, turn them into 2 different diameters and 2 different cross sections. We're going to make 22 millimeter or 7/8 inch square, 19 millimeter or 3/4 inch square, and we're also going to turn some of it into round cross section. That means we're going to be experimenting with twisting it from square cross section as well as round cross section, because my friend Colin at Rad Knives on Instagram very kindly recommended to me that I should try twisting this, at this point, very expensive material when it's round, to reduce the chances of the nasty cold shuts that we get when we twist a square bar, where these sharp little corners trap dirt, and where there could be the chance that we need to do too much grinding. The risk is, though, that when we squish all this text and turn it into a round bar, will we crush these corner letters? And then when we forge it into a smaller square, will we have lost any ability to read anything at all? In order to make these 2 diameters and 2 cross sections, to figure out what on earth is happening, I'm gonna need to make some more tooling. Oh, check out what showed up in the mail, boys and girls. That there is a Ewan Finley original. Oh, mate, thank you so much. I have something that so few people in the world have. A hand-coopered quench bucket made by our good friend Ewan the Cooper. Thank you so much. It makes me so happy how many of you guys have gone and checked out his YouTube channel and checked out his new website. that we helped him get started on Squarespace when he was here and we forged a hammer together. Those buckets are an enormous labor of love to make. It's blooming hard work, so I'm so grateful he gave it to me, and he sells those on his Squarespace website, which is exactly what you could be doing with your products as well, or your services, and you could be up and running in no time. We literally started his website in between heats of forging a hammer. That's how easy it is with Squarespace. You can even run your email marketing campaigns, use Squarespace scheduling to book clients, and you can let some of their AI tools do some of the legwork for you as well. I really hope that if you've got a product that you believe in or something that you want to share with the world, you go to Squarespace and get a free trial at squarespace.com/forge to build that website, and then use code FORGE at checkout to get 10% off your purchase. That includes your domain purchase because they sell their domains there too. It's all in one platform. Let's get back to it. All right, so here is all the tooling that I have made up. I have made up a 19mm and 22mm kiss block, and 22, 19, and 16mm round swages for the stand curve. The plan is as follows. From this bar, we're going to forge half of it down to 19mm square, half of it down to thicker 22mm square. Then we're going to round out half of each corresponding diameter so that we can hopefully learn some lessons about where and when to start twisting and from what cross-section. Just burnt my brand new tape measure. Literally the first time I use it. What a nincompoop. So I've actually now made 3 different diameters. I really wanted to play it safe and like bracket myself in. So it's 22, 19, and 16mm. 7/8 of an inch all the way down to 5/8 of an inch. All right, that should give us plenty of experimentation. 22 square, round 19 square, round 16 square. Let's twist it. Cracked it. No! Lumineck. At least it's not in a supercritical spot, and I think I can just weld it back together. This is an experiment, remember, not the final thing. It broke at the transition between one of the rounded sections and one of the square sections. So in the grand scheme of things, that's not something we're going to be experiencing on the final thing. So here is how it is looking. I definitely think it was a good call to make some 16mm round, because I think that's going to be the winner. I also think that twisting square is an absolute loser. I went ahead and cut a bit off this end, ground a chamfer on it, and I think you can bloomin' see my name. And I think it's twisted too tightly to see it clearly enough, which is great because it is going to stretch out as we forge these bars from this into its final 12mm square cross section. And I think we might just be onto a winner. So away we go. I just sprayed myself in the face with coolant. Now we've got a record of what's what in case the paint comes off. Okay, so let me tell you what, I'm definitely learning some things, and it does indeed look cool. Taking a diagonal cut through everything so we can see how the pattern changes near the surface, down to the middle, and beyond. Now that one is twisted too tight. That's too tight of a twist. Round cross-section at the top, square on the bottom. The round cross-section is definitely clearer and less deformed. And then now in the 21mm, round on top, square on bottom. We can also see much clearer text on the round cross-section twist than on the square. We've lost a lot of detail on the square, however, it is different insofar as the square is twisted to a much tighter density. Very hard to compare because the rate of twist is not consistent between all samples. God, that's gonna be cool if we can make it work. So I've learned some things from this experiment, and I've also realized how I've messed up this experiment. The best result we got was from the 21mm round twisted section, but I don't know if that's a function of the diameter at which we twisted it or simply the twist rate. What I didn't do in this experiment was control for the rate of twist. Much like on a bolt, where you have a pitch of thread, certain number number of teeth per inch. When we're twisting this stock, we're gonna have a certain number of revolutions per inch. The tighter the twist, the shorter the text becomes. The looser the twist, the longer the text becomes. And there's gonna be a sweet spot where it's perfect, but I didn't have a means of actually controlling for that. We only controlled for diameters, so that means I need to do one more experiment, forge out more stock, where we actually control for the twist rate.
I thought you wanted to make a rifle barrel. You're gonna be making a pistol if you keep wasting it like this.
Since our Alec billet's getting short, we're gonna do the test on steel.
I thought they're both steel.
Technically, half of it's iron. Well, I still can't monitor the pitch and bloomin' measure it, can I? I can't measure that twist rate. I put one line of grinding down it, thinking that would work. Clearly not. Maybe that's a revolution, that's a revolution. Maybe, but that's really hard to identify, so need another solution. I think that gives us something to work to. That 1.5 cm pitch, I'll see if I can tighten that up a little bit, and then we'll get it looser and looser as we go down the rest of the bar. All right, let's try and see what measurements we can get from that very clear chalk pencil mark. I can't see anything. Looser, tighter, looser, looser, looser. So we've got a twist rate of 12 millimeters all the way to 80 millimeters. Let's now forge it into a square and grind about halfway into it.
Surely the depth at which you grind it also has a big influence on it.
It definitely does, Jamie, and that is exactly why on these I took an angled cut here, so that we can see how the pattern changes as it comes up towards the halfway point. And almost always the best pattern is just a little bit before the halfway point. So now I know, okay, I grind down like 45% of the cross section's width, the pattern's gonna look best. Unfortunately, I think I've discovered some bad news with this. While some of these letters look fantastic, we're missing the beginning and end letter. So it currently only reads Teal. My last name isn't Teal. Hey, actually, you know what? On that note, while we've got this disastrous moment here, I don't know if everybody knows. Probably some people think that Alec, my last name, Steele, is a fake name, considering my interest in blacksmithing. It's actually my real last name. I got very lucky. And I'm thrilled to say that it's tremendously ironic.
Good job your name's not Alec Wood.
Be a carpentry channel if that was the case. Definitely too tight up here, can't read anything, but I think the lower you go, you start to get into a sweet spot here. I think this starts to look really good. But again, all you can read is teal. If you go too low, the letters stretch out far too far, and it's not good. All the way down to the bottom, where the letters are just seriously deformed. Nothing good going on there. But just right here in the fabulous sweet spot, much too tight, starts to get a kind of close to right, starts to get a little bit too loose. Somewhere in the region of 20 millimeters per turn. So the teal problem. When I had my words at this stage, I decided there wasn't enough padding around the outside. And so I went to the, frankly, rather decent effort of forging and rolling out a whole new load of wrought iron in order to put a jacket around it, better pad it, and turn it into this. The trouble is, there is clearly not enough padding. You see, what has happened is as this bar has been twisted around, we have basically lost the E and the S. It's got lost. And in this thing, it is not visible. However, on the Alec material that we twisted up, we can fully read the word Alec because it had tons of padding either side. What are we gonna do with this? Well, unless I change my name to Alec Teal, which frankly might be the easiest option, what I now need to do is I need to add padding to either side of the steel billet, and hopefully not ruin the overall aesthetics of the piece. Gotta make a lot more raw tie up, Jamie.
Again?
Unfortunately, I think our reserves are getting low. That's all the wrought iron that I've got left in its original 2-inch form, but maybe in this pile of stuff, Maybe we'd have enough. Can you imagine we added a third onto that either side? That would give us enough padding. I made 4 options. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4. Try this as well. Remember, this is gonna be next to the Alec billet that doesn't have that. Really, what I should have done on both of these billets is there should have been a significant amount more padding. So we're gonna pad it with some 1040 on the sides, wrought iron over here to conserve. Go time. Now we're gonna make a box, because I do not want this to fail. Imagine if, it's close, but it's a bit loose. That's jokes. Some days, it just pays to be lucky. Ah! Now here's the thing, I do not want this sticking to that. Which is where that comes in. White spray paint, the pigment that makes it white, if I understand correctly, is titanium dioxide. And as we know from our titanium to steel welding experiments, titanium and steel, certainly titanium oxide, don't like to mix, especially at high temperature, because of the creation of rather cracky intermetallic compounds. So, spray paint inside here, that onto there, hopefully no sticky. Well, this is going great. Cool.
I'm just gonna let it cool down.
Something like that. It's the next day. We've got a nice bubble forming, which hopefully means it'll be easy to get the jacket off. Stuck in there now. Unfortunately, that box doesn't look quite as detached as I was hoping. It looks quite well fused. What do you think we should do about this, Jamie?
Crazy thing is to just grind it off.
Angle grinder, you reckon? Okay, thank you. It might seem like the obvious strategy here is just to put it in the milling machine and mill it off. But the thing is, I don't want to get rid of any of the base pattern. So what really needs to happen is I need to peel it off from the stock underneath. Hello. Going great. Making good progress here. Yeah, baby. Well, this is going great. Made amazing progress. I sure am glad I decided that it was easy to get a bit of square stock off the steel rack with a 5mm wall than to make a nice thin 1mm box that would have taken me half an hour with the laser welder. That was really good time calculation there. Saved 30 minutes. Here we are the next day, a whole day's worth of peeling to do. Makes tons of sense. Halfway done. It took me half a bloody day, but I got the jacket peeled off. And at last it can go back in the fire for us to forge it down into the 16mm round that we're going to eventually twist. Right, that chunk is going to be about 4 feet's worth. We've easily got a few more meters out of that chunk. We can only fit 4 feet in the lathe at a time, and we can unfortunately only fit so many days of work into one video. I am so grateful that you're here hanging on with this project. I can't wait to see you on the next one. Bye-bye.